Hi, my name is Oliver, and in this tutorial I'll be teaching you how to animate a windy tree in After Effects. So to get started, you'll separate the branches from the actual crown of the tree, then you'll go to the Effects and Presets tab and search for the CC Bended effect. Just drag that onto the crown, but as you can see, some of the crown is cut off, therefore we want to adjust the start and end points. So if I just drag the end point up, you can see that the entire crown is shown. So just adjust them so the entire tree actually fits within the range. Now you can copy this CC Bended effect and paste it onto the branches. So we want to create a link between these two, so we actually only have to animate the bend of one of them, and then the other one will just react similarly. Therefore we can select both layers, search for bend to get the effect, then we can all click the bend on the crown, pick whip to the other bend, just click away. And as you can see, when we adjust this one, they actually both adjust. So we'll be animating the wind from the left to the right, and therefore the tree will also be bending to the right. Now the first bend will sort of be the big bend, so that's the one that gets it to the right position, and then it will just sit there and interpolate between two different positions, so just wiggle a bit. Therefore, we can just close down the crown, we can go to the branches and add a keyframe for the bend. And as the big bend is sort of a longer bend, it will also have to take a bit longer, and therefore we'll go for something like 10 keyframes. So Command and Control, Shift, right arrow key. We can go for a bend of like 12. And now you can see it's into that right position. So now we want it to interpolate between this and just a little bit to the left, so it'll sort of wiggle back and forth. And this will not be the same interval, and therefore we'll go for something like 4 keyframes. So hold down Command and Control and right arrow key 4 times. And then we can maybe select something like 9. Then we go 4 keyframes ahead. And we go for 12 again. Now we can actually just copy these keyframes and paste them a few times. So this will just loop back and forth. Now it will have to get out of this right position. So we'll go 10 keyframes ahead and set the bend to 0. But the thing is that if we play this, and of course this is without easing, but it's a bit sharp when it goes back. And therefore we want to add a bit of overshoot. So this just means that the tree will overshoot a bit to the left and then settle to its final position. Therefore we can go to the final keyframe, go 5 keyframes ahead. And then we can just add another keyframe, go back, and now as this has to overshoot to the left, we'll go for a negative value, and we can maybe go for 3. And now we just have to ease these keyframes. So select all of them, press F9, and then go into the graph editor. So right here, you can see that we have the keyframes. So first of all, it has this big bend, then it interpolates back and forth, goes back, overshoots a bit, and then settles. The only thing we actually have to adjust is the start and end. So we have to have this ease in a bit, and therefore it will just sort of go slowly into the movement. So as you can see, the value change at first is very low, and then it increases a lot, and has its highest value change around here. So we can just do the same over here, just drag it a bit. And also just the overshoot, adjust it a tiny bit. And now if you play it back, you can see that the tree actually wiggles back and forth. But this is a bit stale, and it's the same kind of movement that keeps repeating itself. But we can easily fix this by just adding a bit of randomness to the keyframes. So you can actually just take these keyframes right here in the middle and adjust them as you'd like. So maybe this is a bit lower. You can have this a bit higher up here. You can sort of just adjust everything to your liking. And if it just snaps and it's pretty hard to move, you can just turn off the snap down here. So just adjust these as you like. So maybe something like this. Go back and play it. You can see that the tree just gets into that position, wiggles for a bit, and then gets back. So this is just something that you really have to play around with, and there's no like certain rules of how this should be. Just keep it a bit random. So maybe this is what we'll go for. So we can go out of the graph editor. But as you can see, when this is done, it's pretty stale, it doesn't really move. Therefore, we can add a wiggle expression to just add a bit of movement to the animation at all times. So alt-click the bend, and then we'll type in wiggle and parenthesis, and the first property will be the speed and then the value of the wiggle. So the speed actually determines how many times per second there will be this movement, and then the value is how much it actually moves. So we'll go for a speed of something like 2, then comma, and the value has to be pretty low, as we just want this to be very subtle, as the tree is just standing still and the wind is not really affecting it that much. So we can go for something like 1.5, click out, and if we play this back, see that it has this motion, and then it just wiggles for a bit. So this is great. And now we want to add a bit of movement to the actual crown of the tree. So as the wind blows to the right, we actually also want to move the crown a bit to the right, so it's affected by the wind. Therefore, we can just click the crown and search for position. So we'll actually get the position of the crown shape layer itself, and that's what we want to play around with. So then we all click the position and we just pick whip up to the bend. And this can seem a bit complicated, but actually if you just take a look at it for a second, it's quite simple. So what's really happening is that it's creating this variable called temp, and inside of this variable is referencing the bend effect, so it's just looking at the value of the actual bend. And then down here we have these two brackets, and we have temp typed in 2 times, and the reason behind this is that the first one is the X position and the last one is the Y position. So it's just telling that the X position should be the variable temp, which is referencing the bend. So basically the X and Y position is the same, but we don't really want that, as we just want to actually move the tree branch in the X dimension and not the Y dimension. So to fix this, we can just create a new line of code. Then we can define this Y variable. So we type in Y equals, and we just want this to be 0 at all times. So 0 and semicolon. And now we just have to alter this temp value down here to Y. So this is telling it that this X position should be the temp variable and the actual Y position should be the Y variable. So if we play this back, you can see that there's happening a bit of movement to the right, but it's not that visible. But we can fix this by actually going to the reference, going to the very end, and just multiplying it by something like 3. So what this is doing is that it's just taking the value from the bend and then multiplying it by 3. So if we play this back, you can easily see that the crown is being moved to the right as the wind is affecting the bend. So now we want to add a bit of warp to the crown itself. And the reasoning behind this is that it looks pretty solid as a shape right now. And if there was really wind, then the crown would be affected in sort of a wavy way. So we can go to the Effects and Presets tab and search for the Wave Warp effect. Drag it onto our crown. But as you can see, it looks sort of extreme up here. And it's also a bit too squashed. And therefore we can change the height and width values. So the height will be something like 5. And we have to go a bit more extreme with the width to really stretch it out. So we can go for something like 140. Now we want to alter the direction a bit. So we want to have this skewed axis. So sort of a 45-degree angle. So we just change this to 45 degrees. And also the wave speed should be increased to really match the wind. And therefore we can go for something like 3. Now if we play this back, see that it has this effect, but it has it at all times. So the way we change this is that we actually animate the wave height. So we go to the branches and press U to see the keyframes. Then we go to the crown and we add a keyframe for the wave height. Press U to see it. So we can change this to 0 at the start. Go to the far right position. Change it to 5. Then go to where this interpolation ends. Add another keyframe and go to the end and set it to 0. So if we play this back, you can see that it has this wavy effect, which really sort of sells this wind. So now we want to add some details to this animation. And as you can see, I have hidden some layers, so if I show them again, just make all of them visible. It's just a bunch of bushes down here and then one leaf up here. So we'll start out by animating the bushes, and this is sort of similar to the way that we animated the branch and the crown, so the tree itself, but we'll be using a different effect, and then we can also copy the keyframes from the tree animation to make it a lot easier. So we'll go to the Effects and Presets tab, search for CC Slant, just drag it onto one of the bushes. Now the thing that we'll be doing is just adding a keyframe to the slant, pressing U so we can see the keyframe, and then we can go to the actual branches, press U to see those keyframes, and we can just copy these and paste them onto the slant. Now if we play this back, you can see that this actually animates the bush sort of the same way, but we will just copy these keyframes and we can actually paste them to every bush we have here. So just paste them, press U to see the keyframes, and now if I double click down here on this tab, it will just expand, and now we'll have to add some random animation to this, so we'll have to offset them a bit. Therefore, we can just select some of the keyframes and just drag them around a bit. So it has to be random, there's no real system to this. So just a bit of movement, you don't have to do this to every single one. So maybe it's just something like this. So if we double click again, so if we play it back, you can see that there's a bit of random movement to these bushes, and they're also wiggling a bit afterwards. So that's really what we want from this animation. And now we want to animate the leaf, and the reason why we want to do this is that when the wind pushes the tree, some of these leaves will fall off and fly off to the side. So we can just close down every single layer, select this leaf, just go down to it so we can actually see it, and now we'll be dragging it up in the center top, so it's out of the frame. Then we press P as in position, and we have to right click the position and separate the dimensions. So first of all we have to animate the Y position of this leaf, and this is the vertical position, so that's when it's actually falling. So we can add a keyframe to the Y position, go 50 keyframes ahead by hitting Command or Control Shift and then right arrow key. Then we'll have to drag the leaf all the way down to the bottom so it's out of the frame. And now we want to actually animate the leaf so it moves back and forwards, so it falls down slowly. So we can go to the start and add a keyframe to the X position, and now we want it to start off to the side, so just by holding down Shift we can click the left arrow key a bunch of times, so maybe 5 times, and then we can go 20 keyframes ahead for this one. So because of the fact that we went 5 times to the left, we'll go 10 times to the right to even it out. And then we can just copy these 2 keyframes, go 20 keyframes ahead, and paste them again. So if we play this back, it sort of looks weird right now, but that's because we haven't eased these X position keyframes. But before we do that, we'll add a bit of rotation keyframes. So we'll hold down Shift and press R, go to the very start, and as it's in this left position, we want to adjust the position in the positive direction, so maybe to 10 degrees, add a keyframe, just go to the next keyframe of the X position and go opposite, so that's minus 10 degrees. So you can see it's sort of following that motion path, and you can just copy these 2 keyframes, go over here and paste them. So if we select all of these, press F9 to ease them, we can go into the graph editor, and right here we just sort of want to exaggerate this ease a bit. So we'll just select every point, just drag it into the center of the keyframes, so you can see it's sort of the middle. We just have to do this with every single one. So sort of like this. If we go out and then play it back, you can see that this leaf is falling back and forth. And now we actually want to pre-compose this leaf so we can duplicate it a bunch of times. So right click, pre-compose, we'll just call it leaf, click OK. And now we want to place this anchor point where the leaf enters the frame. So if we go a bit ahead, you can see it's roughly up here. So select the anchor point tool, and just drag the anchor point up here. And now we want to position this leaf so it can fall out from behind the tree. Therefore, we want to drag this layer beneath the branches and the crown. And then we can just drag it over here. So this is the start point. And as we want it to actually animate to sort of the right, we can just press R and adjust the rotation so it fits. Then we go to the point where the wind starts blowing, so that's here. And we can just adjust this leaf so it sort of fits with this animation. And as you can see, this goes a bit too much upwards. Therefore, we can just adjust this rotation keyframe to something like this. And now we can duplicate this a bunch of times. So maybe we want 5 leaves to fall out of the tree. So press Command and Control D to duplicate it. And now we have 5 duplicates. So we can actually adjust the position of all of these to make it a bit more random and interesting. So just select each one of them and adjust where the leaf comes from. So something like this perhaps, maybe one all the way up here. And then we have to adjust the timing of these. So we know that it starts right around here and then it ends all the way over here. So we don't want any leaves to fall out when it has ended. So we just go a bit before that phase. Then we can say this is the last one that appears right here. And then actually we just adjust these so they're all starting in this sort of interval from 2 frames to 1 second. And just adjust them at random. And really, this is something you have to play around with. It's not something that you most of the time get perfect at first. But if we play this back, you can see that maybe this top leaf is a bit too high up. And also it's a bit too early perhaps. So we just drag it out a bit. Sort of adjust these. And here, as you can see, 2 leaves fall out from the exact same position. And this is really the sort of thing that you have to adjust and just play it back to see if it really looks good. So right now you can see the leaves are falling out, but actually they can fall out even before this. So we can just drag them a bit towards the start, play it back. So as you can see, maybe this first leaf, we can move this in just a tiny bit because it looks weird at first. Maybe just adjust the position a bit for some of these. And as you can see here, that's 2 leaves actually exiting at the same point of time. So I have to find out, this is maybe this one, yeah. So I can drag this a bit back just to really adjust this, sort of like this. And one thing I actually notice is that there's this leaf sort of going downwards here at the end. So this looks sort of weird and we just have to figure out what leaf this is. So we can just try and solo it out. So it's this bottom leaf, and maybe that's because it has been going on for too long. So before this happens, we can just go back, Command Shift D, delete the last part. And that should be pretty good. And now the last thing we want to add is some strokes. So some secondary animation to really show this direction of the wind. So we'll just draw this out by selecting the pen tool. And we want it to sort of go in a straight line and then swirl backwards. So we'll just start out here from the left, click, hold down Shift and then click again, here a bit more inwards. Then you have to hold down and drag it out just a tiny bit. We can go up, just drag it out to sort of create this half circle. Then we have to go to the fill, remove it, and just add a bit of a stroke. So as you can see, maybe this is a bit too rough over here. So I can just call this stroke. I can open it up, go into the actual path, and just adjust this so it looks sort of nice. And maybe we have to zoom in to actually see what we're doing. So drag it out a bit to get this circular path. So this actually looks about right. So this is fine. You can zoom out again. And now we want to add a trim paths animation. So we can go to add and then choose the trim paths. Open it up. And now we want to actually set the end to 0% so it's not visible. Animate the start and end, and then go maybe 20 keyframes ahead. And then both of them have to be at 100%. So just adjust that. And right now nothing will be visible, but that's because you have to select either the start or the end and just move it a bit over to the right. So hold down Alt and click the right arrow key a bunch of times. Now if you play it back, you can see that this animates. But we have to adjust the easing, so select it, press F9 and go into the graph editor. And here we just adjust the handles so it happens a bit quicker at the start and then it slows down. Play this back, so that actually looks quite nice. So close this down, and maybe we have to adjust the timing of this so it happens a bit later. And also we want to add a bunch of duplicates of this effect. So if we press Command D to duplicate it, then we want to change the path because we just want a linear one. So we can go into the path, just delete these two last points, maybe make it a bit longer. And also if we press U, just adjust some of the timing of these keyframes, maybe adjust these upper ones so it's a bit longer when it's actually animating. And we can just also duplicate the bottom one here. Press S as in scale. And if we change the Y scale to -100, this will be the opposite. And maybe we want 2 of these. And we can just adjust these properties a bit. And maybe we want one more straight line. And maybe make this a bit quicker. So we have these 5 strokes, and now we have to just make it a bit random and offset them. So the offset will of course go from the start, and then as this is about to finish, there won't be any more wind. Therefore we can go a bit before this. Say the last one appears here, so it could be this one, and then we just sort of drag them out like this in a random sequence and just keep a bit of space between each one of them. And now we just have to keep in mind that we have to adjust the position of every single one. Therefore, we can just go to the end right here, select each one, and just by using the Shift key and then the arrow keys, we can just adjust this to our liking. So remember to adjust every single one, just a tiny bit at least, so there's a bit of differentiation between them. So maybe like this, then we can play it back. So as you can see, we have a few problems here. The first one being that this bottom one is happening like right after each other, and therefore we sort of have to adjust that. So it's these two, and we can just say that this happens later and this happens before. Maybe also adjust the position of this one a bit. So maybe put it up here. And also there's some of these happening a bit too late. As you can see, the tree's already moving backwards. So just drag these down like this. And maybe this one actually has to happen even before that. And that actually looks pretty good. So that's actually how you animate a windy tree. There's a lot of great effects and great concepts that you can take out of this and apply to many different projects. If you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure to leave a like down below, and also post a comment, tell me what I did good, what I could improve on, and also what you want to learn next. You can also subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell to get notified when I upload future tutorials. If you create something from this tutorial, you're more than welcome to share it with me on Instagram @Oliver Randorf. And that's all for now, till next time.